Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie. It's another Thursday and I'm here to continue my conversation with Olyvia Kimathi, and I'm really enjoying the conversation. So,
Yes.
what Mom has called, we are going to Houston in September. And the wedding is in October 1st.
Yes.
Wow.
And so I was like, wow, okay. So just like that, a free trip. I don't even have to plan my finances. It's like, wow, thank you, Lord, for that. That's awesome.
And that happened when you're in the Bundu.
Yes.
So thank God for encouragement, because I don't know about the Bundu.
Hey.
If doing mission in the Bundu is not
Hey.
exactly exciting.
Yes.
So I guess that, makes you think, yeah, God is here.
Yes. Yeah, it was so exciting. My friends were so excited. They're like, yay.
Yeah, because they were there as well.
Yes.
So you could all celebrate that together.
It was so exciting.
Wow.
And so now we began the paperwork, like applying for visas and all that. Since I was away so much, my mom really helped me. She filled all the forms and everything.
Well, thank you, Mom.
Oh yes, Mom is awesome. And so we began. As we were planning to go, myself, Mom, my sisters, and Dad. Well, one of my sisters was in school. She was enrolling in school in England that same September, so she couldn't come. And my other sister had work experience that she needed to do, so she opted to do that. And Dad was like, I can't be away for that long. It's just too much. Let me stay and do my business. So it became a trip for me and Mom.
Wow.
So we're like, okay, if that's how God wants it, then fine, so be it. Mom already had her visa. I think her visa had just expired, so she was just renewing. For her, it was a smooth process. But for me, well, I was so sure I would get that visa. I was like,
No big deal.
it's obvious. God has
Showed
me
everything?
that, this is his plan. So I was like, okay, great. We applied for the interview in, I believe it was May or June. We were given a date for September. And I was like,
What?
Wow, they're that busy.
September, you're supposed to be leaving.
Yeah.
They are busy.
And so I was like, okay, fine. It's okay. It was like something like September 10th. So I was like, it's okay. We still have time. No, it was the first week of September. I think September 1st, thereabouts. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's enough time. The visa just takes 3 days to be processed. So it's fine. We'll be good. And as we went along, Mom's date was pushed forward. It was August something, but mine was still September. So I was like, that's weird. We applied together. But anyway, it's fine. So Mom goes for her interview, gets her visa renewed, no brainer. And we're like, yay, okay, a step forward. And then it was my turn. So before I went for my interview, Mom was leaving for England. She was taking my sister, and then we were going to meet in Houston. And so we said our goodbyes. We were like, okay, see you on the other side. And so then after that, I went for my interview, and Mom had prepped me. She had told me, these are the questions they'll ask, these are the documents you need to show them. We're going to see my brother who's a bit unwell. This is his doctor's letter. We're going for the wedding. This is the invitation, everything. And I was like, yeah, I got this. I get to my interview, and I don't know what happened. It's like I froze.
Yeah,
I was
like zoned out.
Yeah, it's like I wasn't there, but I don't know. I was a bit confused. And the guy who was interviewing me wasn't as friendly as I thought.
They're never friendly.
Yeah.
Not thought. They're never friendly. They're never friendly. And the worst thing
ready for
ever
that.
to do is to zone out. And even a lack
Yes.
of confidence.
Oh, yeah.
That really stops the embassy, especially the American embassy.
Yes.
Now you have to go confident and awake, but you're thrown off. I think the first time I was thrown off because of the way they were asking the questions.
Exactly.
It's so open. I thought we'd be in a room. I'm like, what? Can't discuss my business with the whole world.
I know.
But that's the way they are.
And before you get there, you watch so many people getting denied. And
Yes. That's probably what
what's
zoned you
going
out.
on?
Yeah.
I was confused. And then I went happily, and I was like, good morning. And he was like, good morning. And moved on. He was like, so what are you going to do? And he asked me all these questions, and I was so flustered, and I was like, okay, I forgot about the wedding. No, I think I forgot about visiting my uncle. I just talked about the wedding. There's one thing I talked about, and I forgot the other, and they were supposed to complement each other. And, I was just so confused. I don't even remember what I said. And then he asked me a whole bunch of questions like, are you married? Do you have children? Like the questions that
Fly trees.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not married, I don't have children. And then he was just like, okay, you don't qualify. And that was it. And he moved on.
Okay. And he gave you that correct thing.
And I was like, what? This wasn't part of the plan. I was so confused. So I just took it and I was like, thank you. And I went wondering, okay, Lord, what now? I was so confused. So I went into the car and I just sat there for a minute. And then I was like, oh, okay, I should probably call mom and tell her. And so I called my mom and she's like, so did you get it? And I'm like, no. And then she laughed and she's like, yeah, right, you got it. And I was like, actually, I didn't. And she's like, what? Why? And now she panics and she's like, oh my gosh, now what's going to happen? And I'm like, hold on, mom, don't worry. And then I just got this burst of faith and I was like, this is mine. I'm going and I'm going to make it for that wedding. I'd already seen it. And I was like, mom and I are going to go on this trip and it's going to be amazing. I told her, mom, don't worry. I'm just going to apply again today. And we'll see what happens.
And that's the trick with the visa, especially the US visa. If they say no, apply tomorrow, and then you must have confidence. You can't look like you're sita. You must know what you're saying.
Yeah. So I went home immediately and I just got on the computer and started applying. Again. And this time now I was applying for myself. Remember the first time mom had done it, so I wasn't even sure what to do. I was like, okay, maybe I needed to go through this process. So I did everything, made the payment, and then it takes time to register. So I was like, okay, I'll wait till tonight. Hopefully it'll register so now I can pick an appointment date. Now that was my only concern because I was like, we applied in June, we're given a date in September. Now we're in September. I don't know. But I was like, you know what? We'll deal with that when we get there. And so I continued with my day. I had Bible study that day and I was like, I'm not going to let this stop my day. No, I'm going to be fine. And then I remember that day I spoke to you. You called me, yes. I did? Yeah. Oops. You texted me and you were like, how are you? And I was like, well, not so good. And then I told you I just got denied. And then you called me and you really encouraged me and you told me, you know what, I got denied, but you know what, you just go for it. If this is what God has for you, you will get it. And then you prayed for me. And then I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, I'll be fine. Yeah. And so I went for Bible study and I was sharing with the girls at Bible study at Kubamba, like, you know what, I'm going. And they were like, wow, you're not even crying or anything. I'm like, no. It's fine, guys, I'm going, don't worry. And they were like, okay, that's some faith. And I felt I was so sure. I've never been so sure of anything in my life. And that night when I went home, I checked and the payment had registered. And so now I could pick a date. And the first available date was October 14th. No, come on, Olyvia. I'm really waiting to see, where is this story going? What? I was like, oh my gosh, that's too late. The wedding will be over. Like, what? Mom's already booked her ticket and everything. I was like, okay, fine. I'm just going to pick this date and go to bed. And tomorrow, God will show me what to do. And so I just picked October 14th. I was like, Lord, show me what I need to do. But for now, I'm just going to sleep. And I went to bed and I slept like a baby. The next morning, I went to the office like at 7 a.m. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to deal with this thing. So I read the US Embassy website cover to cover. Like, I read every single word to see, is there any loophole? Is there anything I can do? Wow. I read that thing for like an hour and a half and I was like, I have to find something. And then I decided, let me call customer care. Let me find out. And so I called and I asked, is there anything I can do to get a sooner date? And they were like, well, it has to be a special circumstance. And so you have to write to the consulate. And if they agree, then they'll give you a new date. If not, you won't hear from them and you just continue with your old date. And I was like, okay, it's worth trying. So I was like, Lord, what do I do? What would I say my reason is? Like, what's the emergency? And then I decided to look at all my documents and I saw my uncle's doctor's letter. And from the way it sounded like he was on his deathbed. That disease sounded so bad. And I was like, this sounds like an emergency. Perhaps I can just share this letter and tell them I just need to go and be with my uncle, because he doesn't have any family there. So mom would go every year to see him. So this time I was going to go with her. And so I was like, it's worth trying. I mean, at this point, I don't have another option. And so I wrote to the consulate and I attached the letter from my uncle's doctor. And I was like, Lord, now I've done my part. Like, that's as far as Olyvia's will and power can go. So I leave it to you. And I was like, wow, let's wait and see. And so I continued with my day, went for my meetings. I was like, this is not going to stop me from doing what I need to do. And less than 3 hours later, I get an email with a new date. And the date was for the very next week. And I was like, wow, okay. So I'm going again next week. So I remember it was the next Friday, the very next Friday. And I was like, that was perfect. That was perfect timing. That's what I wanted. I was like, wow, okay. And so by the time I was going for the second interview, I was on it. I knew this is mine. I'm going for it. I just waged war against the enemy. I was like, there's nothing he's going to do that's will
going
deter
to stop this.
Yeah, like I know this is what God has for me, and so I'm taking it by storm. And I went in with so much confidence.
That's what the American embassy needs.
Yeah,
or any embassy.
I was so sure. And this time, the guy who interviewed me was so friendly. I was like, okay, nice surprise. But I'm still ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. And this time I explained everything. I gave him too many documents. He was like, okay, that's good. I don't need to see all this. But I was like, yeah, and that's why I'm going. And he was like, okay, everything looks great. Then, yeah, here's your visa. And I was like, what? That was simple. Okay. But I really learned a lot from that, and I'm glad I went through that experience.
Yeah. What did you learn so that you can share with somebody else who needs to learn? Maybe probably they've been disappointed by something, or God has said something, and then everything works, and then somehow sort of like there's a spanner in the works that is thrown that sometimes throws us off course, gets us telling God, you're such a liar. I can't believe. We get angry with him. We get disappointed. We get stuck, So just speak to somebody about what lessons you drew from that.
Yes, for starters, I learned that just because God says something doesn't mean it's gonna be easy.
Wow.
It's really not. You still have to put your faith in it. You still have to do your part. But knowing that God is with you and has given you that word, that's enough to carry you through whatever challenges come.
Wow.
So that was my first lesson. Second was, I'm stronger than I ever imagined. I honestly thought that I had such a soft heart and this would throw me off and I'd be so down. But I saw a different Olyvia come out. I saw a strong, ambitious lady who I didn't even know was in there. And that really grew my faith. And so God will bring things your way to show you who you really are. So just learn from it and know that God has got your back. No matter what, you'll make it. Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I learned.
That is so powerful. I don't even want to speak to anything about that. Thank you so much. I really hope you're enjoying yourself and you're learning a lot. I'm learning a lot. And looking forward to seeing you next week as we take it to the next level with Olyvia. Bye.